Britain opposes US sanctions on the Caribbean island of Cuba, voting against the Obama administration at the United Nations. It's a subject that is up for debate at today's TUC Latin America conference here in London. And Aleida Guevara, daughter of Che Guevara, the revolutionary whose image is recognized around the world, will be among the speakers. Welcome, Aleida, to Going Underground. You're a doctor who has worked in medical missions around the world. Britain has sent soldiers to Sierra Leone to combat Ebola. Cuba sent doctors at first. There are British doctors now. What's the difference between the Cuban response and the response of other countries?
I don't think that we can say that we are going to teach this to Great Britain. But I think we show that you can do better things for human beings through science, through solidarity, and tenderness between people.
And what is Cuba doing in West Africa about Ebola?
We sent a brigade of doctors, scientists, and health workers, all with the aim to look for solutions for this disease, to try to eliminate this new pandemic that's assaulting humanity.
The Cuban attack on Ebola, how is that going at the moment?
It's going well. We're working as a team, which is the best way to work as doctors. Not just looking at the disease, but trying to find ways to prevent it repeating itself. We're working more to try to avoid other people from getting ill. Not just finding the cure, but avoiding other people getting ill.
When it comes to healthcare in Britain, usually people talk about private companies taking over the National Health Service here. How do you see private companies taking healthcare over? Of course, in Cuba, it's a public health system.
La salud es un derecho del ser humano.
Health is a human right. If you ask someone, how much would they pay to save the life of their child? Nobody can give you an amount because there is not enough money to pay for the life of a human being. Something that has no price cannot be on the market.
Now, if the government here may differ on that subject, the British government is getting closer to Cuba. The Foreign Office sent a minister there, Hugo Swire, first to visit for nearly a decade. How do you characterize British-Cuban relations?
A mí me parece que estamos viviendo un momento muy
I think we're
especial
living in a very special moment for humanity.
Por primera vez, periódicos
For the first
importantes de
time,
Estados Unidos
some important American
hablan bien
press
de Cuba.
are saying good things
Eso
about Cuba.
es casi un hecho
That is
histórico.
almost an historical
Yo
event.
pienso que de
I
alguna
think
manera
that somehow
los gobiernos van
governments
tomando
are
conciencia
becoming
de que
aware
es mucho mejor
that it is a
relacionarse
lot
con
better
otros pueblos,
to have relations
respetando sus
with other people,
diferencias,
respecting their
teniendo
differences.
relaciones sanas, fuertes.
Having strong, healthy
Podemos ayudarnos
relationships
mutuamente.
can help us both.
But Washington presumably is not happy that Britain votes against America when it comes to sanctions on Cuba.
Me imagino que al gobierno de Estados Unidos
I
no le
imagine
gusta nada en
that the United
absoluto
States government
que alguien vaya
doesn't
en
like
contra
it
de lo
at
que
all
ellos hacen.
if someone goes against their
Pero
wishes.
No es raro eso tampoco.
But that's not strange either.
El Reino Unido fue colonizador.
Great Britain
Las 13
colonized the
colonias en Estados
13
Unidos.
colonies
Se
of the
luchó
United
en
States.
aquella época contra
At
el
that
Reino
time,
Unido.
They fought against Great Britain. And since then, they are countries that are supposed to be independent and sovereign. Thus, Washington can be happy or not, but that shouldn't be a problem for Great Britain.
And what will you be talking about at the Trade Union Conference on Latin America?
We're going to talk about the need to lift the blockade. We're going to talk about the Cuban health missions, in this case against Ebola. And we're going to talk about our heroes arrested in the United States. 5 men unjustly jailed, and 3 are still in the American jails. And we're going to talk about our revolution.
Britain didn't allow one of the Miami 5 to come here, René González. What did you think of the British decision not to allow him here?
It is the right of the United Kingdom to allow someone to enter their national territory or not. It is the right of each state, and that has to be respected. I don't understand it, but it has to be respected.
And on the blockade, do you think the blockade helps Britain, the European Union, to work with Cuba because America can't trade with Cuba?
The problem with the blockade is that it influences other countries in the world. If the United States doesn't want to trade with Cuba, that is their right, and we have to accept it. But the problem with the blockade is that the United States doesn't want any country to freely trade with Cuba. And that's why the blockade directly affects our relationship as a sovereign territory with other countries in the world.
Dr. Elena Guevara, thank you. Now to one song that celebrates the life of Elena Guevara's father, Che. Hasta Siempre Comandante was composed in 1965 by Cuban musician Carlos Puebla. The lyrics are a response to the farewell letter written by Che Guevara as he left Cuba for the last time. With us is singer-songwriter Jackson Scott, who's going to play us out with his rendition of the song. Here's Jackson Scott.
Aprendimos a quererte desde la histórica altura, cuando el sol de tu bravura le puso cerca la muerte. Aquí se queda la clara, la entrañable transparencia de tu querida presencia, comandante Che Guevara. Y fuerte sobre la historia dispara, cuando toda Santa Clara se despierta para verte. Aquí se queda la clara, la entrañable transparencia de tu querida presencia, comandante Che Guevara. Quemando la brisa con soles de primavera para plantar la bandera. Ay, con la luz de tu sonrisa, aquí se queda la clara, la entrañable transparencia de tu querida querida presencia, comandante Che Guevara. Y aquí se queda la clara, la entrañable transparencia de tu querida presencia, comandante Che Guevara.
If you want to hear more of Jackson's music, go to jacksonscottmusic.com or listen to his songs on the award-winning documentary Drug Lord, Legend of Shorty, out in cinemas in December. That's it for today. Join us again on Monday when we speak to Human Rights Watch about how Theresa May's reasonable suspicion could ban you from entering your own country. In the meantime, connect to Going Underground via Twitter, Facebook, SoundCloud or email. See you on Monday.